finally.
Uh-huh.
Who am I to judge? But I love it. When did it start? How long are you going to keep it?
Yeah.
And will you ever just go all season? You know how like hockey players just go hockey
Yeah,
playoff
yeah.
beard. Will you ever get a Porzingis playoff beard?
I don't think I would do that, but it started in August. For some reason, my girlfriend kind of convinced me, hey, let it grow for a little bit. 1 week go by, 2 weeks. Third week, I'm like, this is getting nowhere. It's looking terrible. And my girlfriend's like, just keep it for 1 more week. And my barber was also like, 1 more week, just give it 1 more week. And then the following week, he cleaned it up a little bit, that. I'm like, okay, this is starting to look like something. So I said, okay, maybe we can leave it. And now I kind of go back and look at old pictures and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, now I have to keep it. No way I'm going back to that baby face.
I remember when I saw you, I was like, you still look young, but it's kind of like, it's cool. It looks,
Looks a bit,
you look a little tougher.
Yes,
a bearded unicorn. I've never heard of that before.
There are a couple of Wizards moments and photos for me that are iconic. And one of them is, ironically, in Cleveland. We were playing with MJ.
Oh, okay.
And MJ hits the game-winning shot. Because I was in the arena when it happened. And you and him together with that fist pump. That's probably one of my favorite Wizards photos. It's just because it was kind of like the young fella and then the GOAT. Yeah. And you both did it at the same time. Walk me through that moment. And what do you remember when you see that photo?
Oh, man. I mean, when Michael first came to play with the Wizards, it was magical for everybody, not just for the fans in the city, but for a young dude like me coming up and knowing that Michael Jordan was my idol growing up was magical. And I remember all the press that we used to get, right? And I always say it was like hanging out with the Beatles during that time, but it was MJ. And I remember going back home after the first couple games and you turn on ESPN or turn on whatever, and all the highlights would be Michael Jordan.
Nobody else.
Nobody else.
No, not even on the other team.
Yeah, just him, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
It was MJ. So even when we come to the game, the cameras was all on MJ and everybody else was over there. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna figure this one out right here. Okay, right? So I remember when he took the 2 dribbles, got to a spot, knocked down a shot, and then he was walking off, because anytime M hit a big shot, he would always put the fist out. If you look at the history of his game, especially when he was in Chicago, he did it in practice. Anytime he made it, it was about the fist. So boy, oh boy, when I seen him make that shot and I seen him walking to the middle of the floor, I said, you know what, Rip? I'm getting right beside his ass. They ain't gonna skip over me tonight. So I put my fist right next to it, and my mind was like, all right, you know what? Somebody's gonna get this shot, and when they get this shot, they gonna say what happened, and they ain't gonna know who made the shot,
bro.
So now my kids, I got a big old poster, in my theater room, and my kids walk through, and they say, Dad, you and MJ got the same pose. What happened? I said, Dad hit one of his biggest shots.
Well, when I saw the shot, I thought you hit it. When I saw it.
Well, I'm going to tell you the funny story about it. So, again, as I told you, I was in the vomitory because they called the timeout.
Yeah.
And I remember a buddy of mine who's from Cleveland was sitting there, and he has had his heart broken by MJ, the shot 1, the shot 2. And I remember during the timeout, I looked over at him and I said, David, it's about to be the shot 3. He's like, no, don't say that. Because as you know, playing in Cleveland, people kind of have a feeling about bad things happen to their team.
All the time.
Yeah.
They come out of the huddle, and you just saw it. Now, the one thing that I didn't know, Rip, and you got to explain this to me.
Okay.
Why in the hell did Cleveland double team Chris Whitney?
Hey man, listen, I think they were a little nervous. I think they just forgot what was going on. I think they forgot number 23 was out there,
right.
Most importantly. But I don't know why. I don't even remember that they even doubled him. I just know that how the hell did y'all allow MJ to get the ball?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What's it like when you put a Wizards basketball jersey on?
Well, obviously you're feeling like you're representing a family. That's one. 2, you're representing a team that you're battling every night in a game to create a result for this team, for this organization. The owner rewards you with a nice fat contract. He secured my living for me and my family, and probably for another 3 generations of my family. And you feel obligated and you feel responsible for making this organization better. When I was traded from here, obviously the feelings were kind of weird, mad, sad, mixed feeling obviously, but then 2 years later, 3 years later, you go into your locker at home, you're about to do a lift or you're about to go play basketball, and you're pulling all the t-shirts you have from your, from entire career. You have Magic, you have Wizards, you have Phoenix, you have Clippers. Like, which one you gonna wear? Mm-hmm. I mean, I love Orlando too because I live there on a daily basis, but the Wizards is my family. So I pulled the Wizard jersey, t-shirt. I said, I'm putting this one on and let me practice, Obviously, with time, I had to make a phone call to equipment manager. Said, listen, I need new stuff. I need a new stuff. And playing for the Washington made me part of this family, part of history in this team and this organization. And you got to do whatever it takes to make this organization better.
Well, you and Buck were great for me. And again, as we kind of conclude this podcast, I would not be sitting in the seat that I am now if it wasn't for you and Buck.
Well,
when I came here 16 years ago and we started working together, you both embraced me, open arms, and I'll never forget that. And I'm someone that loves to pay homage and respect to the people that came before me and the ones that helped me. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you and to thank Steve Buckhantz for teaching the pup the ropes.
Well, believe me, when you came onto the scene, you were just I don't want to say a breath of fresh air, but I mean, your enthusiasm, your love for the game and what you were doing, it really branched off to us, and it had a big impact. And next thing I knew, you were one of the most engaging people with the players. And I think they felt very comfortable around you and in talking with you and giving you insight and knowing that, you weren't going to do anything to hurt them. You were going to share the news and be honest with them. And that's important, So, I am happy for you. I wish you all the best of luck. Not that you need luck, but it's only proper that you always say good luck, you know. Right. But I'll be watching, and I know you guys are going to be doing a great job.
I do know I'm going to be getting text messages at night.
Absolutely.
So, the bus, I'm trying to figure out when Phil hits me. Does he hit me right after the game or on the bus ride or on the flight coming back home?
Well, I'm going to ask you what's going on the bus anyway,
But here's what I do know.
And I saw you messing with Drew when he was sleeping. That ain't right. That's not right.
Well, I would have never done that to you with Buck. Buck was always awake. So, Buck was a night owl. Buck would be working at 4 or 5 in the morning. I do also know, because of Buck and Phil, I do know where all the best restaurants are on the road. So again, I was learning.
That's all
best.
Buck, believe me.
And we have international players, and you've often told me over the years that you really feel like DC is like an international city. I mean, from where everyone comes, when you talk about the embassies, do you feel like the game of basketball is global now?
Oh, without a doubt, it's global. It's the second most participatory sport on the planet, soccer and basketball, and I think over 1 billion people either say that they play basketball or they watch basketball, and that's why the NBA is, the quality of play is so incredibly high. You basically have 15 players per team, 30 teams with 1 billion people thinking that they can play the game, and so it's an international game.
I do want to talk about your AAU program because I think this is something that I think a lot of our listeners will appreciate, is you giving back to your community from a grassroots perspective. Talk about Team Thrill, when you got it started, and kind of what's the mission statement for you?
It's always been a dream of mine to make it to the NBA. Even when I was young, that was the plan, to make it and then be able to start my own youth basketball program so I could give back. And the whole mission to me is just to get those young kids a platform, to show their game off. And, to get, college scholarships, to be able to go to school for free and not just, think about making it to the NBA, but making it in life. Just let them travel to, USA and hopefully the world and be able to see life different because Baltimore is so small. I remember before I started traveling for basketball, I didn't know nothing else but my block. And you start seeing, you know, different places, how big the world is, your attitude, your mind start changing. You start wanting more for yourself. So I wanted that for the kids.
You were telling me this is really a grassroots program where you get them young to when they're 17 and then they go off to college.
Yeah.
How young do you start?
Man, we get them like 6 years old. It's like a farm system. We try to get them real young and just grow them throughout the program. So yeah, about 6 years old.
Maybe it was on our trip to Japan. Was there something about him culturally that you took away from the conversations with him?
First off, Japan was amazing. Like that trip altogether was eye-opening for me. You know, I always wanted to go to Japan, but I never knew what to expect. And like it blew any expectations that I could ever imagine for myself going there. But just to go back to your original question, for Rui, to see him in his own environment was amazing. To watch him interact with the fans, to watch him interact with, you know, a little kid that comes up to him and, you know, and talks to him in Japanese. That was the coolest thing for me, because, you know, here in America, you know, a little kid comes up to Rui, you know, Rui, he does, you know, the normal, like, Americanized version of everything, but to watch him actually interact with people and to see him, you know, interact with his culture, and to see, you know, he took us out to a restaurant and, you know, there was some food on the plate that I've never seen before, and I'm highly allergic to a lot of different things. If I say I'm allergic to something, that means I just don't like it. But
That's code.
But so I was highly allergic to a lot of stuff on this plate. But to just, you know, hear him tell us all about this and like what it meant to the culture and everything like that, that was probably the coolest thing to see, you know, Rui coming out of his shell, and for us to really get to see the culture with Rui.
You've been here all the time. You're here always. This might be the first time you've been back since you were with Orlando.
Yeah.
What was it like walking into this arena today?
Man, the goosebumps, right? It was like, you know, like I walked in with a limp. Came to the court, like, oh man, it's okay. This feels like it. You know, got the court. I'm sitting here like, well, I remember there was a dead spot over there. You know, the three. You know, it just brings all the memories. You know, all the memories you forget or you try to lose, they all come back. Right, you know, the twins sat there, you know, it just all comes back, and it's just like, man, you know, you don't get that sense from the TV. Even though my TV's pretty big, you don't get the feel of it until you're really in this building.
Being in the NBA and, like you said, kind of being like this, you know, role model for him now. What is fatherhood and being an NBA player? How do you balance the two?
I mean, it's both a job. Both of them hard, but you gotta enjoy both of them. Just our game winners, getting beat on defense, making shots, coming home, seeing them smile, getting threw up on. Just gotta enjoy it, embrace it. Just gotta embrace it, man. I love it. I love him.
One of the coolest things that you said that I think a lot of dads can relate to is when you get a baby and they're home with you and you have a chance to just kind of put them on your chest, and it's kind of like that bonding moment between the baby and the dad. Is that like one of the coolest moments for you right now?
For sure. Like I told my mom this too. Like this is the first time I actually know what the word like love is. Having him, like unconditional love. Like I understand what that means now when he was born. So
the responsibility of being a father, though, like how much are you learning that kind of on a daily basis?
I mean, I understand that he can't do anything right now without me. So I just got to be, you know, the best role model I can be. And just understand that once he do get older, there's gonna be things that he gonna have to learn the same way I was. And luckily, I had a great dad and a great mom, so I'm just gonna do the same things they did to me to him.
I mean, you couldn't have more polar opposite places than the concrete jungle, and then you've got, you know, California that's all about palm trees and sun.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was a complete culture shock for me. Because coming from New York all the way to California and just changing the whole dynamic of my recruiting. Because it was kind of two different playing styles. More of a getting out, getting open, athletic. New York was a guard-oriented, press all game. It was mostly ran by the guard. But when I got out there, it just worked out for me. I got another growth spurt. But SC just stood out for me because I remember Tim Floyd coming to my home. He didn't come with a bunch of recruits. He didn't come with his staff, anything. He came by himself. He came in the middle of the projects in Brooklyn, and he waited calmly, walked through the neighborhood, and then when his time came, he presented himself well, spoke really highly of himself, and he said, my job is to get you to the next level. If you come, give me a chance. I'm going to USC. He said, I'm at USC now. I'm trying to change the culture, the dynamic of the game of basketball there. So if you open, I would love to have you. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, let's do it.
Did you tell me before that he actually stole your fashion in college?
I didn't say he stole it. I said
borrowed it.
I said I like kickstarted his fashion.
You're responsible for this.
I kickstarted it. He took it to the next level that I wouldn't be able to take it to.
Is there anything he's worn last year or this year where you've gone too far?
Gone too far. I think he wore some like open-toe sandals to the game this year. Me personally, I couldn't do that, but he's at a point in the fashion world where he can, pretty much wear anything.